First fruits. This chapter by chapter Bible study series is getting good. And it's nothing I'm doing. God's word is just very entertaining, riveting. We are in 1 Kings chapter 18, and last chapter we had Elijah getting fed by God from ravens. Elijah is raising a boy from the dead with God's power. We saw faithfulness rewarded, and we saw a flour jar that never went empty and an oil jar that never went dry. The Lord's got plans for Israel, and it ain't gonna be what they've been doing. Chapter 18. After a long time, the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year. This is the 3rd year of the famine. Go and present yourself to Ahab, this evil king that is still ruling over Israel. I will send rain on the surface of the land. So Elijah went to present himself to Ahab. The famine was severe in Samaria. Ahab called for Obadiah, who was in charge of the palace. Obadiah was a man who greatly feared the Lord, and took 100 prophets and hid them, 50 men to a cave, and provided them with food and water when Jezebel slaughtered the Lord's prophets. So Obadiah was an undercover believer of the Lord. He was not about this Baal worship. Ahab said to Obadiah, "Go throughout the land to every spring, to every wadi. Perhaps we'll find grass so we can keep the horses and mules alive and not have to destroy any cattle." They divided the land between them in order to cover it. Ahab went on his way by himself, and Obadiah went the other way by himself. While Obadiah was walking along the road, Elijah suddenly met him. When Obadiah recognized him, he fell face down and said, "Is it you, my lord Elijah?" "It is I," he replied. "Go, tell your lord Elijah is here." Obadiah said, "What sin have I committed that you are handing your servant over to Ahab to be put to death?" No. Remember, Elijah is the one that gave Ahab the word about this famine and was like, "Y'all are in for it, buddy." Obadiah is scared that if he goes and tells Ahab, Elijah is here, he wants to see you, and then Elijah, or the Lord leads Elijah somewhere, or Elijah takes off, and then Obadiah brings Ahab to no one, that Ahab will get mad and kill him. Elijah responded in verse 15 and said, "As the Lord of armies lives, in whose presence I stand today, I will present myself to Ahab. I will see Ahab. I'm not going anywhere. God told me to come here." So Obadiah went, got Ahab, and told him. Ahab went to meet Elijah. When Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, "Is that you, the one ruining Israel?" Some other translations say that Ahab called Elijah a troubler of Israel. It's interesting because there are so many consistencies of where evil or where bad is often calling another person what they themselves reflect. Psychology calls this projecting, actually. Just think about when Jesus was casting out demons. In Mark 3:22, the scribes and the Pharisees accused Jesus of casting out demons from the power of Beelzebub, from the prince of the demons, from Satan himself. Projecting much? Elijah says to him, "I have not ruined Israel, but you and your father's family have, because you have abandoned the Lord's command and followed the Baals. Now summon all Israel to meet me at Mount Carmel, along with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table." This story is one of the most iconic stories of Elijah's walk and journey with God. Listen up. So Ahab summoned all the Israelites and gathered the prophets on Mount Carmel. Then Elijah approached all the people and said, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him." But the people didn't answer him a word. Anyone been there where you're like talking about God and trying to witness to someone and it's just awkward silence? Then in verse 22, Elijah said to the people, "I am the only remaining prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given to us. They are to choose 1 bull for themselves, cut it into pieces and place it on the wood and not light the fire. I will prepare the other bull and place it on the wood, but not light the fire. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord, the God who answers with fire. He is God." All the people answered, "That's fine." The way that these altars were set up, Elijah had so much faith and knew that the Lord was going to show up that he had them set their altar on easy mode. Elijah set up God's altar, the Lord's altar, on expert mode and had water trenched all around it. Just, it looked like it would be impossible for fire to come and burn up this sacrifice. They took the bull, gave it to them, prepared it, and called on the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, "Baal, answer us." But there was no sound. No one answered. Then they danced around the altar they had made. At noon, Elijah mocked them. He said, "Shout loudly, for he's God. Maybe he's thinking it over. Maybe he's wandering away, or maybe he's on the road. Perhaps he's sleeping and will wake up." They shouted loudly, cut themselves with knives and spears according to their customs until blood gushed over them. There is a theme of blood being currency in spiritual traditions. I've heard ex-Satanists, witches, who talk about how they would have to do sacrifices to rank up in that religion, and they would have to have a blood currency to give to demonic forces to help them with their powers and to help them with fame and all of this stuff. It was like, that's just what they did and still do. Elijah set up this altar to the Lord and drenched it in water, had water all around it. He prayed to God. God, show them that you are Lord, you are God. Fire came down from heaven and just lopped it all up, burned it all. The people saw this and they fell face down and said, the Lord is God. God got the glory for this. And then they seized the priests and the prophets of Baal and took them down to the wadi and slaughtered them. Make sure you don't miss the miracles at the end of this. Elijah praying. On the 7th time that he prayed, finally rain came. They had to run from the rain. Elijah outran a chariot, said, by the power of the Lord. Elijah outran Ahab's chariot. God and Satan are not equals. We cannot give up on people who worship false God. We cannot look at people who are wrapped up in witchcraft and the occult and look at them and see them as lost causes. When Jesus looks at them and sees the one of the 99. Jesus died for them too. Some people get trapped in this stuff, and some people feel like they don't even know how to get out. A lot of them are deceived and they don't even know who Jesus is or that Jesus is even real. We need to be praying for these people and praying that God will reveal himself to them. These people went from cutting themselves to calling out to Baal to immediately bowing in worship to the Lord and realizing, oh my gosh, I was wrong. We can't count people out.